Hello team, welcome back to another Line Warcast. This is your map today in a 1v1 between Someone Said That My Nickname Sucks in blue and Turtle in red. And this is from the T2 2024 tournament that is going on right now in Line War, running from July 1st until July 7th. This is one of the last games from the group stage. And nicknames in the top left of the map, Turtle in the bottom left. Both players pick the center to begin with. That was their preferred starting spot, so neither player can pick there for the balance. And Turtle's going for a trade route immediately with these two towns and ports connected by this little white dotted line and an airport and a farm. With most of the remaining capital, the sound we hear now is Nickname building an airport in the north with an interceptor as the first aircraft off of it and two tanks from these two factories and a refinery, pardon me, for a Nickname, in order to provide the energy for all of these units, all the planes. And then there's going to be more tanks after the first two. I'd be very surprised if Nickname just stays on 2 tanks. Probably see something up to 6 tanks. Nickname could even commit to a very heavy tank style and get a second refinery here, which is relatively safe for now. There's a chance that Turtle could build a dock in the bottom left. It might not be all that worth it. There's only 5 different water territories here, and then of course the boats could defend the trade route if it turns into that sort of situation. But just more farms for now for Turtle, who will have a huge economic advantage when the two players meet. And probably expect Red to put down a barracks somewhere here to continue the infantry production so that Red can start capping the center of the map, which is usually the best place to be. It gives you the most options to expand. After the first interceptor, we could see a switch into helicopters from Nickname or more interceptors. I think it's unlikely that we're going to see strikers or bombers. And for now, it is a second interceptor from Blue. And commandos out of the first barracks. That's complete. You can see the secret agent getting ready. And then that second barracks. This could also be commandos out of the second barracks for Blue, but potentially just infantry as well. For the capping, Nickname, this is Blue's vision, so it has no idea where Red is, and the same thing for Red. Won't have any idea where Blue is. But Nickname has an idea where Turtle would be, sending these 2 tanks on a move command, a hasted move command, down to the south. First refinery is complete, and the second territory with the refinery is also capped at this point. First trade routes, or rather the merchant ships for Red, are en route at this point. Helicopters from Red off the airport, and then more farms. There's tons of farms in the bottom, and here's that barracks that we're talking about from Turtle to keep the expansion going. It is tanks 3 and 4 that have just finished, and tanks 5 and 6 are on their way. It is going to be a commando drop with this transport plane that Nickname has created, and scouting to the top, scouting to the north with the interceptor. Nickname sees nothing there, and of course at this point recognizes that there are infantry down in the bottom, which means Turtle had to spawn in the bottom left. Both players are playing on 1x handicap, which is the standard for like tournament play. If either player was playing on a 2x handicap, you can actually pick 2 different spots on the map to start. But that is obviously not the case here. Here's the dock for Turtle to cap this territory, and potentially with this infrastructure, Red could actually build some missile boats to at least make it more difficult for the interceptors to go to the bottom left of the map, and potentially cover for these helicopters. And it's infantry out of the rightmost barracks. It continues to be commandos on the leftmost barracks for Blue, and a second transport plane. Nickname uses commando drops very effectively. There's plenty of casts on this channel where we see Nickname doing exactly that. And nice play from Turtle to cancel this command on the helicopters to actually attack the tanks. With this one interceptor here, an interceptor can take out a helicopter And certainly once this second interceptor shows up, it will make it even more difficult for Red to do anything with the helicopters. There's no factory yet for Red, and the first refinery is on the way. Nickname splits off one of these tanks to try to go to the bottom right. Presumably this blue tank is going to just jet off as far as it can go, and then Nickname will start a proxy base. That second transport plane is now complete for Nickname, and this is a great drop. The helicopters might have to be used in defense here, because there is no barracks on this side of the mountain range. It will take a while for infantry to actually traverse this thing to get back to the commandos. This is Turtle's vision. So although Red's chipping away at one of these tanks and will actually be able to destroy it most likely, the commandos for Blue are still invisible. And luckily for Nickname, this one tank gets away even though it's quite damaged. Now that the commandos get closer to a building, they're revealed. And Nickname will be happy to get one of the farms here, but there could be subsequent landing attempts. Nickname's kept this command on, so technically the next time two commandos are ready to go, they will get into the plane, and that's what they're doing, and they will take off and try to do the exact same thing. And Nickname's gone back to interceptors after building those two transport planes, pardon me, and a barracks in the center for Blue, which is very good for the eco development. Red might actually still be ahead even though they control less territories. 792 for Turtle and 560 for Nickname, and that's just all this industry and this town and this trade route for Red that's powering most of that eco. First factory for Red and then another barracks. I really like this from Turtle. It's probably very important that Turtle at least be able to like establish a presence in the bottom right of the map. This tank from earlier for Nickname is choosing this territory to cap. And then we'll probably see Nickname put a barracks down in the bottom right. It is missile boats from Turtle, which is nice. Probably expect Turtle to go up to maybe even 3 missile boats, potentially more. And once there's 2 and especially 3 missile boats, it's going to be very difficult for Nickname to actually do any more drops here. Nice work from Turtle to have an interceptor out, and this gives Turtle vision of the commandos even if they aren't close to a building. Interceptors have great detection. And Turtle continues to build these farms, keeping ahead on the eco. There is enough tanks that they could just decide to drive by these infantry and could get on top of this production. Nickname doesn't see it, but probably has an expectation that Turtle is around this location. This is interesting from Nickname. If there was an opportunity, the range of the commandos when they're in entrenchments would be enough to actually destroy some of these transport boats. So a sort of like good multitask check from Nickname. If Turtle wasn't more aware and didn't chase those commandos down, it could have actually stopped a lot of this income from the trade route. Because the way trade routes work is that the player only gets the money once the transport boat comes in here and like unloads the cargo. This is when the money is actually made. Also, I'm trying to do some new stuff with the audio mixing, the audio levels, so please let me know. I think Scornful had a comment on the last video and it was very helpful. This song in particular seems very loud, but it's just in the playlist, so we just deal with it. A refinery in the center for Nickname, so there's these 2 refineries and it's just continuous tank production. Tank and interceptor from Nickname. And an interesting drop from Blue here. With 4 tanks, the barracks can be destroyed if Nickname decides to commit here, but is it worth 4 tanks and 4 commandos? Certainly if Nickname gets both of these barracks, it's super worth it, and nice find from Turtle, who's at the right place at the right time with the perfect amount of infantry that's needed to destroy those 2 barracks from Nickname. You can see what Nickname's plan is, right? The commandos are supposed to destroy this barracks and then head down south to help the tanks. The tanks are definitely going to get a barracks. They just have high DPS and there's not a lot of infantry around to actually stop this. And they will also get a farm, so a good raid from Blue here. It's a depot on the way for Turtle. Because although there is this second refinery here, it's kind of a scary one for Red to take because of how close these tanks are. And Nickname might actually get more farms. With these 4 tanks getting ultimate value. One very brave artillery piece trying to solo 7 different blue units. And it's now 4 missile boats about to be complete for Red. And some transport planes from Turtle. I really like this play. I think that Turtle's going to be able to do some counter drops. This is Turtle's vision here, so can't see any of these refineries, but if you zoom out, Turtle probably has a very good idea that these are the sort of refineries that Nickname would be taking. And so far, Turtle's only seen mostly gas-powered units instead of, besides these infantry. Constant tank, constant drops. And so one way for Red to stop this momentum that Blue's kind of gaining is to take out the energy and make these tanks stop moving. Super nice for Turtle to actually get these territories taken, and then Nickname's going to do the most annoying thing possible, which is the gamer play, is to dig in 2 commandos. They'll trade super well as they possibly can, and then 2 more commandos going to drop in to try to reinforce them. And without these defensive lines, the commandos would have done a lot worse. They still get taken out without taking out any of the infantry. But over time, little trades like that can make a difference. So many tanks for Nickname. And off of 3 refineries, there's really no possibility that Nickname's going to run out of energy here. You can see the energy in the top right. Nickname's making 425 a minute at 910 total eco. And Turtle's making 276 a minute at 944 total eco. These are a lot of producers for Turtle, so over time there's going to be a huge opportunity for Red to actually push out from the bottom left. But if we look at the map, there's a lot more blue than red. These 2 barracks are in a pretty nice position. The tanks could go around the forest to get at these barracks. In general, tanks are they're still very good in the forest if you have overwhelming numbers, but certainly it's not the terrain type that tanks prefer to fight in. This is just enough blue tanks, though, that they're going to destroy all these infantry. And Turtle's going to send down the helicopters. The depot and the refinery are nearly out of energy. And we would hear a beep beep from Turtle for that low energy sound. And with the helicopters flying and then also this drop coming in, we'll have to see if Turtle actually has enough. No, Red's definitely going to have enough to drop that transport plane. The big problem for Red is that Blue's now firmly established in the center of the map, and Nickname's actually building a lot of farms. Great drop from Turtle. Nickname sees it pretty quickly and sends 2 tanks down here. It's important to see that Nickname has 3 transport planes and 2 barracks making only commandos. So Turtle can expect way more drops to happen. Six tanks is enough to destroy both these barracks. Nice pickup from Nickname, who is in a fight in the middle. Tanks generally do very well against infantry, but it all comes down to numbers. Like most battles in this game, it's if you have more numbers, then you're just going to win the fight. And Turtle, unfortunately, doesn't destroy that refinery. This is the strength of the missile boats, though. A nice job from Turtle to haste move these missile boats to actually catch up to that transport plane, and somehow not just... Okay, there we go. okay, maybe still not. The one engine is totally on fire, but the transport plane is actually going to get there. It will not make it home. Certainly the missile boats are going to catch it on the way home, and nice play from Turtle to micro the missile boats to catch this. And there's a chance that Nickname's not going to get any of these transport planes home. Maybe? The first one flies at the perfect location, and then, yeah, of course, that one transport plane was one hit. Nice submarine pen from Nickname here. Submarine pens have a stealth characteristic as a building, so Turtle would have to put these two missile boats very close to it in order to see it. And here comes this push that was kind of mentioned earlier. It is a lot of tanks for Turtle. There's only 2 refineries for Red. And unfortunately for Turtle, it's a great defensive line. But there's 2 barracks worth of infantry that Nickname's going to show up with. Nickname can probably just pause and not decide to take on the entrenchment, or Blue will just try to push through it. And Blue can kind of afford to be inefficient. This is a little bit of a problem for Nickname with how big this army is. With 1248 total eco for Blue and 1044 for Red, but both players are making a healthy amount per minute. So there's a lot of room for growth. Love this drop from Turtle with the 4 commandos, and it's important to note that there is an aircraft carrier that's complete. There's another one on the way. And Turtle's plan is to snipe this one refinery and then move this commando down to try to get the other one. It'll be close. And I think on the next drop that happens, Turtle's gonna get this. In fact, Turtle's gonna try to get this with just interceptors. That's what that interceptor launch was. This is Turtle's vision. Can't see the airstrip here. I mean, gets a glimpse of it in the forest. So if Turtle saw that interceptor take off, Red would be able to figure out that there actually is an airstrip here. And that's kind of, I think, what the play is. That's what Turtle's doing with this tank command. And more barracks and more factories for Turtle, pardon me, to try to reinforce the right-hand side, because this is going to be a problem. If Nickname can get through this little alleyway and then get to the choke and dig in, it'd be very difficult for Turtle to expand. There is a move from Red to get more SAMs, which will be super effective against these interceptors. Interceptors aren't all that good against ground units, but they can still pick off those helicopters like we saw. And it looks like the play is going to be aircraft carriers hold helicopters. At least this first one for Turtle, which will be very nice. Turtle has the navy that's kind of required to defend against the aircraft carriers. The one imbalance that might happen is that the submarines for Nickname, if they get in a high enough number and then they snipe the aircraft carrier, it can be a very expensive loss for Red. At the same time, Nickname might lose a bunch of interceptors if they're landing on this airstrip and then Red destroys it. And there we go. Successfully for Turtle, the refinery is destroyed, and what this means is that the tanks can no longer see the commandos. There's no building that provides any vision, and tanks have horrible vision themselves. So Turtle sees it, sees this airstrip, and here comes the move from all the infantry and the 4 tanks. And this could be very expensive for Nickname to lose all that. Look at this trick again, with 2 commandos just digging in. And a pretty big army from Nickname. And Nickname's also started capping the bottom right with a bunch of tanks that somehow got there. I don't know when they did. I have no idea where this interceptor is flying. but the airstrip is destroyed. The blue interceptors would have to go back to, well, I guess there's actually this airstrip, so nice job from Nickname saving a handful of these interceptors. And the next play from Turtle is to drop commandos on this refinery. First transport planes in the air. The one problem for Turtle is that Nickname's actually sending a bunch of commandos over to the refinery, kind of anticipating this move from Turtle. And Nickname also building an airport in the center of the map. And if we go top down, this is a good push from Turtle, but still a lot of work to do on the overall map. 1128 income for red and 1518 for blue. The SAM count for red should start growing at this point. There are 4 SAMs for Turtle and some very aggressive buildings for red, which I super appreciate. I think this is actually the move to make. With how poorly it's going on the right-hand side, Turtle's kind of got to get something done, and I think pushing the barracks and the factories forward is kind of nice. We might see red decide to entrench in this gap. There's not really much that Turtle can do in the bottom right. And Nickname using these defensive lines super well to, at the very least, make it super annoying for Turtle. So red can't just push through the forest directly. So the submarines reveal themselves. This is Turtle's vision. Can only see these torpedoes and hear them. Can't actually see the submarines themselves. And the first wave of commandos that are dropped from red on this refinery successfully defended by Nickname, but there are more on the way. Pretty tough situation for red. Nice work from the missile boats. The submarines are just running right by the boats, and I don't think that Turtle actually saw this. So now the subs can start working on the merchant ships. And again, this is Turtle's vision, so as they get closer to both the boats, you can actually see the submarines. But every merchant ship that is destroyed means less money for Turtle. And Turtle now making plus 78 a minute at 1158 total economy. Nickname at plus 516 a minute at 1700 total economy. And it's actually Nickname who is digging in here. Blue recognizes that as long as the status quo stays the same, Blue will win the game. And these submarines are just devastating. This is, I think, going to be the game-ending move. Turtle's haste moving these missile boats down to try to destroy the submarines, and then after that, red is going to have to figure out where the submarine pen is. Turtle's vision, of course, can't see the sub pen. And it's helicopters out of this central airport for Nickname. They have good mobility. They can get down to the bottom right to help out and defend, and you can see that Nickname's adding on 2 towns, in fact 3 towns in the bottom right. And the unfortunate thing for Turtle is that a bunch of these barracks now have to be committed to trying to defend on the right-hand side. And they're kind of spawning right into this entrenchment for Blue, so Blue's going to trade super effectively. All but 1 of the 2 of the submarines are cleaned up. 3 of the submarines, rather. Which is not great for red. You can see red's vision. Nickname's parked them out in the perfect location so that they can come back and do more damage later. There's still 1 submarine working on this aircraft carrier, which would be a big loss, and Nickname's got 3 transport planes with 6 commandos going to drop right into Turtle's base. You can see how Nickname's really kind of shaping where red has to go by using this defensive line in the forest. Units move slower through the forest as well, so these blue units get more opportunities to fire at the units as they approach the defensive line. Then blue, of course, still just trading great in that bottom right entrenchment. This is the one, this is a super problem for Turtle. I mean, Turtle can see these two boats, but 2 missile boats against 3 subs. And now that that second missile boat was destroyed, this one missile boat can't see any of the subs anymore. And a second sub pen from Nickname. I very much struggle against subs. There's definitely my least cool unit in Line War. That's already decided. Everybody knows it. Don't ask. The refinery going down is going to be a relatively big deal, but there are 2 depots still for Turtle. With just 1 refinery pumping energy into these 2, it'll kind of put a timer on Turtle's use of energy units, but there's not really all that many. There are the planes still for Turtle, dropping these commandos in the bottom left, and a handful of boats. But that is GG. Well played. Again, that's the one of the last group stage games, I think. Might cast some more group stage games, or just go into the knockout bracket that's going to be starting pretty soon. Between the top 2 folks in each of the 6 groups, I believe. 6 groups for sure. But GG. Well played both. Check out the Line War Discord if you want to learn more about the game. Ask questions. You can check out these replays in the tournament replays channel in the Discord. Thanks for the support, however you do it. Liking, commenting, subscribing to the channel, it all helps the channel grow. And tell your friends about Line War. It's 50% off still. 50% off right now on Steam. I think it goes until July 11th, but don't quote me on that. All right, enjoy. Peace, folks.